Well, only a few minutes until the start of today's local session. Alex Douglas from Monex Securities joins me in the studio. We'll be talking about investment strategies given all of the recent global volatility. Alex, good to have you with us today. And I think this is the big overarching theme, the big overarching question at the moment is to how to deal with this volatility. What are your thoughts on positioning a portfolio to kind of ride through the ups and the downs?
Yeah, look, I think there will be a bit more volatility. The volatility index, the VIX, is still quite elevated. We've had some big pullbacks, a bit of a bounce, a bit of a dead cat bounce. It will remain volatile for a while. One area that's holding up reasonably well, I guess, is the utilities sector in the S&P 500. Quite a few companies there holding up well, AES, NRG. There's one big exception to that, a company called Pacific Gas and Electricity. They're actually carrying a lot of the blame for those big fires in California. So they've actually been hit quite badly, but other utilities in the US doing well.
So this so-called shift into defensives almost, that's obviously been the pressing topic, I guess, is that move into defensive stocks.
Yes, yeah. And a lot of the technology stocks, the FANGs, we're hearing a lot about them. So Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, they've all been hit quite hard. I'd probably let the dust settle a little bit there before venturing back in, keep an eye on it, but they're maybe sit back a little bit there. I think this big move we had in mineral resources yesterday is quite interesting. It obviously highlights the incredible demand for lithium around the world. And that sort of turns the spotlight for me back on the whole area of electric vehicles and battery makers. Yes,
and perhaps that we're just in the infancy of it, given some of that future demand. Is that kind of what that deal perhaps was telling us?
So, well, you look at electric vehicles now. So they estimate that back in 2010 there were almost no electric vehicles. There were some, but in terms of market share, zero. Now, I think electric vehicles make up about 2% of all vehicles. They estimate that within 2 decades, so let's say by 2040, pretty much half the vehicles on the road could be electric. So we really are just at the very beginning of this wave of electric vehicles.
Where else do you think are the opportunities? You mentioned some of those stocks in the US being the defensive plays or electric vehicles locally. Are you finding any opportunities?
Well, I guess from a local point of view, it's the same old story with Australia. If you want to get involved with the raw materials, then you look in the Pilbara and the lithium miners. But if you want to go a step beyond that, you really need to look outside of Australia at some of the electric vehicle makers and the battery makers. So everyone knows Tesla. As a very good electric vehicle maker. They also, in conjunction with Panasonic, make some of the best batteries in the world. But there are some other very big battery makers. The market is going to be too big for Tesla on its own to manage. And right now, of course, the Chinese have just put a 40% tariff on Tesla. So, that's hurting them a little bit in China. But battery makers, so Tesla in conjunction with Panasonic, yes, they've got best technology at the moment, but the others are catching up. Some other very big names, there are a couple of Korean companies. There's Samsung SDI, there's LG Chemical. But then there's this Chinese company that a lot of people haven't really heard of. It doesn't really roll off the tongue, this company. It's called Contemporary Amperex Technology Company Limited, CATL.
Right. Bit of a mouthful.
It's listed in Shenzhen in China. Now, the Chinese market is the largest electric vehicle market in the world. This company, CATL, has 40% of the Chinese market.
Wow.
It's enormous.
Huge.
And they're also supplying batteries to most of the world's major manufacturers.
Yep.
So it really is something that potentially has a long way to go.
All right, fantastic. Look, Alex, unfortunately, we'll have to wrap it up there. We're out of time because we're about to head into our local session there today. Thank you so much for joining us, though. We'll talk to you again soon. That was Alex Douglas from Monex Securities.
Okay, so sometimes when you're doing live TV, you simply run out of time to say everything that you need to say. One important point that I need to add about CATL is that the shares of this Chinese battery maker are A shares, and currently they're not a part of the Hong Kong Shenzhen Connect program. What this means is that they cannot be traded currently by non-Chinese. However, there are more and more A shares being added to the Hong Kong Shenzhen Connect program all the time, so it's worth keeping an eye out for these shares in the future. I also wanted to briefly mention another Chinese company. This one has a slightly more memorable name. It's known in full as Build Your Dreams. It trades under the ticker symbol BYD on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Now, BYD also started out as a battery maker. It has now become, though, the leading manufacturer of electric vehicles in China with about 31% of this market. Now, this market, remember, is the largest electric vehicle market in the world. BYD, within the next 3 years, plan on building some self-driving electric vehicles, so they'll be a real challenger to Tesla. Now, while BYD does face some headwinds as they adjust to withdrawal of generous government subsidies, The almost certain future growth of the electric vehicles market worldwide means that there is still, in the long term, some very substantial potential for this company. Remember, with Monex Securities, you can trade nearly 50,000 securities across 12 different markets, all on the one platform. If you want to know more, please visit our website. Thanks very much for watching.